Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and completely reframe everything you thought you knew about a band you've probably heard a million times, the Beach Boys. Seriously, if your mind immediately goes straight to matching striped shirts, surfboards, and simple, sunny pop tunes, well, you're in for a massive surprise. Today, we're moving way past the beach to uncover their hidden musical genius, the rigorous academic science behind their sound, and a totally overlooked late-era discography that literally proves they were one of the most avant-garde rock groups of their time. So here's our roadmap for today. First, America's greatest band. Second, analyzing musical genius. Then, life after Pet Sounds, followed by the 70s Renaissance, and finally, an enduring legacy. Let's get right into it. Starting with Section 1, America's greatest band. We're going to kick things off with a bold claim that totally challenges that simple, breezy image they're so famous for. Recently, the publication Ultimate Classic Rock made a huge statement. They actually ranked the Beach Boys as the leading American band of all time. I mean, we're talking about a ranking that tops absolute legends like The Doors, R.E.M., Aerosmith, and Tom Petty. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth does a band known for Surfin' USA beat out all those heavy hitters? Well, think about their hidden impact. It's a real game changer. Without their groundbreaking 1966 masterpiece Pet Sounds, the Beatles' S.G. Pepper simply wouldn't exist in the way we know it. And when Brian Wilson attempted his famously shelved follow-up, Smile, those sessions basically planted the seeds for indie rock's entire DIY aesthetic. They pushed the absolute boundaries of what rock could be with incredibly complex arrangements and innovative studio techniques. Honestly, without their emotional depth and vocal harmonies, the whole trajectory of modern rock would look completely different. That brings us to Section 2, analyzing musical genius. Because, this isn't just music critic talk. Institutions like Royal Holloway University of London actually use Beach Boys tracks to teach advanced musical analysis. We really have to start with this 1966 album. Written by Brian Wilson with some brilliant, introspective lyrics by Tony Asher, Pet Sounds is a famously rich example for musical analysis. It's a highly experimental production, completely threw the rules of standard pop out the window. So let's look at 3 ways musicologists analyze the genius happening here, specifically looking at the track God Only Knows. First up is motivic or thematic analysis. Instead of just copy-pasting melodies from song to song, the album creates this incredible sense of unity through arch-shaped treble melodies, basically melodies that rise and fall like a wave, paired with stepwise descending bass parts. You can hear these shapes most noticeably in the intricate doo-wop vocals of God Only Knows. It acts like a subconscious glue holding the entire record together. Next, we have harmonic analysis, and God Only Knows is an absolute masterclass in this because it constantly keeps you, the listener, guessing. It hovers delicately between 2 keys at once, E major in the verse and A major in the chorus, and this harmonic ambiguity? It isn't an accident. It perfectly mirrors the deep emotional uncertainty and vulnerability in the song's lyrics. Then there's transformational or neo-Riemann theory. Their signature vocal harmonies don't just awkwardly jump back to a home-based chord. Instead, they slide smoothly between chords by keeping common notes holding steady in the background. This makes incredibly unusual, complex harmonic transitions sound totally natural and smooth to our ears. It's brilliant. Now, take a look at this literal visual proof of their layered timbres. What you're seeing is a sound wave spectrogram of the opening to the song Caroline No. Royal Holloway uses this to show how Brian Wilson literally painted with sound. Notice how the bright, sharp high frequencies of a tambourine distinctly contrast with those lower, echoing thuds mapped out there. And do you know what those thuds actually are? It's the sound of an empty water bottle being hit. Just pure, unadulterated studio experimentation. Moving on to Section 3, Life After Pet Sounds. Following the Smile project, which famously collapsed under immense pressure and led to Brian Wilson's withdrawal, most people think the story just ends there. But let's explore their prolific yet tragically overlooked recovery. Chronologically, the band rapidly evolved from the failure of their patched-together Smiley Smile album. In '67, they dropped Wild Honey, an R&B-influenced album where they really dusted themselves off. Then in '68, they released Friends, which is this calm, lo-fi masterpiece. And by '69, the album 2020 introduced a newfound grit with distorted guitars. Just look at the vast sonic distance they traveled in this comparison. You have 1968's Friends, an incredibly brief, gentle album full of bossa nova and waltzes, heavily inspired by their recent involvement with transcendental meditation. Flash forward just 4 years to 1972's Holland, and it's completely different, grandiose, cinematic, featuring a massive multi-part spoken word and flute suite called the California Saga. And that perfectly sets up Section 4, the 70s Renaissance. This is without a doubt their boldest artistic era, where they fully shed their striped shirt image for good. Literally, they stopped wearing them, grew beards, and dove headfirst into the progressive rock movement. Even with Brian Wilson's participation dwindling due to his health, the rest of the band, Dennis, Carl, Al, and Mike, really stepped up as remarkable composers and lyricists in their own right. Sunflower in 1970 introduced this awesome proto-dream pop sound. Carl and the Passions in '72 got surprisingly funky when they added some new band members. They were actively, constantly reinventing themselves. Thematically, this era is a total 180 from their early days. Take their 1971 album, Surf's Up. Don't let the title fool you. The album opens with Don't Go Near the Water, which is an urgent and sadly still relevant environmental message about pollution. It then ends with the incredibly atmospheric and existentially bleak track Till I Die. Instead of singing about catching waves, they were exploring the vast, sometimes terrifying depths of the human experience. By 1972, Holland represented this euphoric, grown-up version of their California sound. They added South African musicians Blondie Chaplin and Ricky Fattar, bringing an entirely new groove. The opening track, Sail on Sailor, is just an absolute powerhouse in swelling 6/8 time. And Brian Wilson was still contributing too, including this bizarre, fascinating fairy tale companion EP called Mount Vernon and Fairway. It proved that every single member could shine brightly in the studio. Finally, Section 5, an enduring legacy. So what happens when a band pushes the envelope this far, venturing into deep academic complexity and progressive rock, yet the general public still largely craves their sunny past? Well, it led to a really bittersweet turning point. In 1974, Capitol Records released a greatest hits compilation of their early surf and car songs called Endless Summer. It was a massive, runaway commercial success. But that success essentially trapped them. The market demanded the nostalgia of 1964, which effectively ended their forward avant-garde momentum. However, that incredibly fertile period from 1967 to 1974 remains a hidden treasure trove for music lovers willing to dig just a little bit deeper. I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up. If a band so widely associated with simple, carefree summer anthems actually possessed this much rigorous academic depth and generated a secret decade of pioneering indie rock experimentation, well, what other classic hits sitting right there on your playlists deserve a dedicated second listen? I really hope this explainer inspires you to grab a good pair of headphones, look past the obvious, and go explore the absolute deepest cuts of music history.